Hi everyone, it's Sherry from the blog OurLifeHomeschooling.com, where I share homeschooling encouragement for everyday moms. I want to wish you a happy Independence Day. In a couple days, we're going to be celebrating the 4th of July. We are so blessed to live in the greatest country in the world. Many people have given their lives for us to be able to enjoy the abundant freedom that we have here in the great United States of America. I'm going to be talking today about why we should teach the history of our American independence to our kids. And I'm also going to be giving some tips and ideas for how you can do this in your home. If you're new to the blog, my name is Sherry. I am a homeschooling mom to 10 children. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, Nelson. We've been married for 23 years. I'm a former public school teacher turned homeschool mom. We just finished up our 13th year of homeschooling. I love encouraging other moms on my YouTube channel and on the blog, OurLifeHomeschooling.com. If you like the content that you see in my videos, would you do me a favor and like and subscribe? Many of you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, but I would like to encourage you, if you have a Twitter account, would you please head over to Twitter and follow me on there as well. I'm going to try to be more present there. I've found that that's the place where most of the things that I post get seen. We are blessed to live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. We enjoy freedom like no other country on earth, and we have for over 200 years now. Not many people in the world are privileged to experience the kind of freedom that we have here in the United States. But these freedoms can easily slip through our fingers if we don't protect them and teach our children the history of our American independence. It's hard to watch it happen, but in recent years, we've seen as statues, historical statues that have been standing for decades to memorialize and commemorate important events in our history, they are being taken down and replaced. Our textbooks are being rewritten to be more politically correct. The focus in public education on history has shifted away from America being the greatest country on earth to seeing some of the mistakes that we've made. We can see that there's a double standard as people are being threatened for praying outside of abortion clinics, and yet we see that we had cities being burned to the ground a couple years ago and there were very little repercussions. Many conservative voices are being censored on social media platforms. So now is a time when truth matters more than ever. Why should we teach the history of our American independence? Our forefathers were very familiar with tyranny. In fact, if you read through the Declaration of Independence, you can see the list of all the offenses and the crimes that King George III committed against the colonists. And they list them out in detail. This was something that they lived, they knew well about. And so when they formed our government, they were intentional, they were deliberate. In fact, they had many meetings where they were talking and discussing about how we could make a government that had an even balance of power so that we wouldn't have to experience that kind of tyranny again. If we want our children to continue to enjoy the liberty that has been bestowed to us, they have to see the cost that it came at, and they have to understand the foundations on which it was built. When our forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence, they risked their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor to give us a country where we could have free press, free speech, freedom to worship God however we want. And this is the kind of liberty that we want to preserve and we want our children to cherish and protect. When we teach our kids the story of American independence, we are helping to pass down to them the freedom that's been given to us. We are reminding them of where they came from and how we got here. Our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, once said this: "At what point shall we expect the approach of danger? By what means shall we fortify against it? Shall we expect some transatlantic military giant to step the ocean and crush us at a blow? Never. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if ever it reaches us, it must spring up from among us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of free men, we must live through all time or die by suicide. If we are a free country, there is no other way to be destroyed than if it comes from within." I want to give you a couple ideas of how you can teach your kids the story of our American independence. The first is by reading great books to them, books that have dialogue and great illustrations, and follow closely to the historical documents that we have on hand of the true story of the American Revolution. Along with this video, I have done a blog post, and on the post I share several book suggestions, chapter books, as well as picture books. One of my favorite is The 4th of July Story by Alice Dalgliesh. It's a small book, it has some illustrations, and it just goes through the story of the American Revolution, and it's really well told and true to the original story. A couple others I have on the blog, and I'll show you here. And Then What Happened, Paul Revere. Another great one is Let It Begin Here, and this is the story of Lexington and Concord, the beginning of the first battle of the Revolutionary War. Some great chapter books are Rush Revere and the American Revolution. Another one is The 5,000-Year Leap, if you have some high school students that want to dig a little bit deeper into our American history. Another one I really love is What Happened to Justice. It has the story of our law and how it was formed. It has many quotes from presidents and men that were present at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. A second way to teach your kids about our American freedom is to sing patriotic songs. And if you're not a singing family, then you can find them on Apple Music or wherever you find your music and play some of these songs. Especially, I like to play ones that tell the story, ones that are really old. For example, our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, where it goes through the story of the bombs bursting in air, and in the gleam of the morning, they could just see the sunlight reflecting on the beams of the American flag and how it was still standing. Some other great ones are America the Beautiful or My Country 'Tis of Thee, Your Grand Old Flag. We like Johnny Cash's version of the Ragged Old Flag. You can also, if you want your kids to remember why America is so great, you can play for them some of the songs of the Coast Guard and the Navy and the Army Marines. A third way to teach kids about our American independence is to memorize and read original documents. I was recently reading a chapter from one of Laura Ingalls Wilder's books, one of her Little House books, the 4th of July chapter, and I was really surprised to find that Mary and Laura, and presumably other pioneer children, had memorized the Declaration of Independence. When they went with Pa to town that day for the 4th of July celebration, as part of the festivities, they read aloud the Declaration of Independence. And not just the beginning, they went through every single crime that King George had committed against the colonies. I think this is a great way, a great practice to remind people year after year of their history and what it cost them. When we read original documents to our kids, we are making sure that we're staying as close to the original story as possible. Some of the documents that I like to read would be the Declaration of Independence, the preamble to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's Paul Revere poem is a great one to read. You can also read letters that were written by our founding fathers as they were either in the Revolutionary War or as they were finally free and building our country, and how they were trying to form it so that we would be a country that was free from tyranny. You don't only have to read the original documents from 1776 and 1790s. You can read documents that are more current. They would also help you become familiar with other events in our country, like the Civil War, the War of 1812. But sticking as closely as possible to the original documents and being familiar with famous speeches will help give our kids and us a true story of what has really happened in our country's past. A fourth way to teach our kids is to take them on field trips. We are from Pennsylvania, so we live in the heart of where a lot of things happened at the beginning and the formation of our country. So our kids this past spring went to Philadelphia. They went to Betsy Ross's house. They saw the Liberty Bell. If you live in Virginia, you can go to Mount Vernon. You can go to Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. There are so many places that you can go to if you live in these New England states and see some of the original places where a lot of our history happened. I would like to hear from you. Why do you think it's important for our kids to learn the story of our American independence? What things would you have to add that I didn't include? What didn't I say that you would say would be a reason and something that's important? And then secondly, do you have other suggestions for how to teach this to our kids? What have you done in your home? Every time you leave a comment, that gives other people ideas. It also gives me ideas. I've added things, books into my queue just from comments that people have made. So thanks for listening in. I hope you have a happy Independence Day with your family. I'll see you next week.